I lost 5 stone and I want to show you how you can get in the shape of your life too. And I didn't lose 5 stone by going on crazy juice detoxes or intermittent fasting protocols or even cutting out food groups like carbohydrates. I lost 5 stone whilst working 80 to 90 hours per week, commuting 90 minutes a day, doing a degree on the side and growing a business. That involved all the stuff that comes with that. The clients, the networking, the food out, the coffees in the morning. I didn't grow up as a person obsessed with fitness. I'm not one of these fitness coaches that has always done that. I had a career before this. I got into this because I lost the weight and found a passion for it. And my point in telling you that is I've been there and done it, wore the t-shirt. I yo-yoed for years. I've tried every diet under the sun. I've done every training program out there that promised me the world. And it wasn't until I figured out what I'm going to teach you in this video that things actually changed for me. So if you're watching this and you're off your feet busy, maybe you're a business owner, a parent, an entrepreneur, and you think getting in the best shape of your life just isn't realistic right now, I'm here to show you how it is. And I'm going to teach you the exact 5 things that actually move the needle for myself that you can implement into your life today. But first, my name's Archie Gravener. I am a health and fitness coach for entrepreneurs, business owners, executives, and all-round busy, time-poor individuals. I've helped over 1,000 people on their own journey get into the best shape of their life, look, feel, and perform at their absolute best. But like I say, not only do I help other people, I have helped myself as well. Although it's going back a little bit, I have tried every diet under the sun. I have been a serial yo-yo dieter. And I think one of the key things to mention is actually those things did work, but they only worked temporarily. A lot of the time people start on their fitness journeys and they go really hard for a bit of time, they lose a little bit of weight, and then what happens is that weight goes back on. And this starts to chip away at your confidence. You start to think things like, can I actually achieve my result? Am I actually made out for this? Am I just lacking the discipline and willpower of other people? But what I'm going to show you is that it's not that at all. It's not that you need more willpower. It's not that you need more discipline, and you're definitely not going to find any more hours in the day. It's the fact that you don't have the right system to implement into your life so something actually works around your life for you long term. So step number 1, the really simple one, you need to know your calorie target. Fat loss quite simply comes down to calories in versus calories out. Now, of course, there's a lot more nuance to that in terms of the quality of the nutrition that you're taking in, as well as a multitude of other factors. However, on a simple level, weight loss is only going to occur if we are in a calorie deficit. However, so many people get this wrong in terms of how to actually manage that calorie deficit. If, say, you have a calorie target of 2,000 per day, what most people do is go, okay, we just go for 2,000 calories per day flat. But what tends to happen with the people that I coach is you have a networking do midweek, and then maybe you have a barbecue at the weekend with the family, and all of a sudden those days are up towards 3,500 calories. What this then leads to is you going, oh no, I've messed up on my diet, and then it starts to spiral. You go, okay, I'll just start again on Monday. Now, the way that I want you to manage your calories is the high-low method. Now, this allows us to pull back on certain days and push up on others. So what I've done for you underneath this video, there is a link to my new calorie calculator. This calorie calculator is not normal. It is not only going to give you a calorie number that you need to go and hit, but it's going to give you a sliding scale to allow you to pick and choose when you need more calories, when you need less, and it's going to design the ideal week for you as a busy person. That way you can manage your social occasions into your diet. This is going to be a game changer. So go hit the link below. You're going to get your calorie target, but it's also going to teach you exactly how to manage it. And once you learn this, then you can actually have the dinner, you can have the odd drink here and there, and we don't have to avoid these things. And that means that this works around your life so much easier. I'm not here saying that there's not going to be sacrifices that need to be made. I'm not here saying that this is going to be easy because you've now got the high-low method. You still have to put in hard work. You still have to do hard graft. There's still going to be points that you're hungry, but this is going to make it a hell of a lot easier. So make sure that you go grab that calorie calculator by hitting the link below. Hack number 2 from my own personal journey. And this one was a big one. So like I say, I commuted at least 90 minutes each way. Sometimes when I was doing site visits, those commutes were 3-4 hours each time. And what would happen, because I was bored in the car, I would stop at a garage or a service station a few times per drive, or at least once or twice. And I would always pick up a nice latte or something similar, right? And on top of that, I might have a bottle of Coke as well, and just some caffeine and some sugar to keep me going on that drive. I noticed when I was doing this and I started to understand calorie intake, I started looking at what is actually in this frappuccino that I'm having from Starbucks or this latte. And it's typically anywhere between 200 calories to 500 calories. So every single day I was doing around somewhere between 400 calories and 1,000 calories of just liquid calories that don't have any real useful nutrition and certainly will not fill me up. When you're on a diet, one of the things that we want to be achieving is getting as much bang from our buck as possible within our food. We know calories are going to be restricted. They're going to be low because ultimately we want to intake less than we're burning, right? To make sure that we're in a fat loss phase. One of the symptoms is going to be hunger. How do we reduce that hunger as much as possible? Well, we get the most bang from our buck from our food, and actually just having liquid calories isn't going to fill you up at all. So you can easily take in, say, 500 to 1,000 calories and it doesn't touch the sides. Whereas if you have 500 to 1,000 calories of good nutritious food, replacing that, it's going to make a hell of a difference. I'm not saying you have to give up your latte or your cappuccino and those sorts of things. Have it with skimmed milk is going to be a lower calorie option. I'm not saying that you have to give up fizzy drinks, but if your goal is fat loss, have the sugar-free version. And what other liquid calories are there that I've just missed? Of course, the alcohol. It is the killer on a fat loss journey. Not just because of the calories that are in a pint of beer. So a pint of beer is going to be approximately 200 calories. So if you have 5 at the weekend, it's 1,000 calories. If we plan that in, then we can make that work. But here's where most people go wrong. It's not actually liquid calories in this instance. It's the bit after that. When you have 5 pints, your appetite goes through the roof, your decision making goes really down, and you make poor decisions. So after the 5 pints, you end up going to the kebab shop after. What that turns into is 1,000 calories from beer and 1,000 from the kebab shop at a minimum. Then the next day, because you're feeling a bit groggy, you end up getting a fry up or something similar, right? Tip number 3 from my own journey. I wish someone told me this at the start of my own personal journey because I made it so much harder for myself for years and years. When I started losing body fat, all the times before I was actually successful, I thought that losing body fat had to be a punishment. I thought it had to be extremely difficult. I thought I had to be hungry all the time, and I thought I had to eat like a rabbit, quite simply. Knowing what I know now, that's just isn't true. This is one of the biggest tips that you can go off and implement after this. It's volume eating. When I say volume eating, I'm not talking about how loud your steak is. I'm talking about the amount of food that is on your plate. Instead of eating like a rabbit and having one bit of salad and one bit of meat, make it as big and as large as possible. For example, if you took a heaped tablespoon of peanut butter, that could quite easily be, say, 300 calories. Whereas if you got mixed vegetables, 300 calories is going to look like an entire mountain on your plate. Which one do you think is actually going to be more filling? So think of it as I'm trying to fill my stomach. Unfortunately, doing this as well, you're probably going to be eating a hell of a lot of veggies, a hell of a lot of fruits, getting a decent amount of fiber in, and it's going to be overall positive for your energy, for your health in general. You can also just make some simple swaps in the foods that you're already eating. So for example, if you have a yogurt every single day, swapping that out for a fat-free yogurt. If you have chicken thighs every day, it might be worthwhile swapping that out for chicken breast, for example, because you're going to get more food for the amount of calories. So hack number 4, we've talked about a lot of nutritional tips there, but this is one of the single biggest things that completely changed me when I made my own transformation, and that's just movement. And I don't mean movement as in getting in the gym every single day. I mean just moving more. I remember I was completely shocked when I first put on like a step counter. I looked at my steps and I was doing something like 2,000 a day. Again, I was just sitting in a car all day and then I was going to my office and just sitting there taking calls and stuff like that. But I'd heard about 10,000 steps and blah, blah, blah. And it just sounded completely impossible to me because I didn't have the time in the day. And I started to think, okay, where can I get these 10,000 steps in? Where can I start moving more? I did some really simple things, and I think this is really going to help some of you. I did things like, instead of driving all the way to the office, I would park at a car park 10 minutes down the road. So I would drive 80 minutes of my commute, park 10 minutes away, and then I would walk in. 10 minutes of walking is going to get you around about 1,000 steps, depending on how big your stride is. So all of a sudden, there's 2,000 extra steps through the day just from parking a little bit further away. I did that for meetings, I did that for social occasions, just always park a little bit farther away. I would never take an escalator or a lift. Have the rule, always take the stairs. If you want to be a fit and healthy person, have the habits of a fit and healthy person, take the stairs. A big one for me just to get me moving more, because I was working in an office on the phone a hell of a lot of the day, and typically I would just take my calls on like the landline that was next to me, sitting in my desk, and speak to people there. However, one thing that completely changed it for me was just pacing up and down with my mobile, and I would just pace up and down the office talking, or go out to the car park and just pace up and down. You get such a surprising amount of steps in just from doing that if you're someone that spends a lot of time on your phone. If you have a look at your phone calls from yesterday, and let's say you spent 1 hour on the phone, if you just paced while doing that, you're probably going to get 3,000-4,000 steps in. Couple that with the habits that I've just mentioned, you're going to be hitting your 10,000 steps in no time without doing any big structured walks. Hack number 5. So if you're really short on time, your training should be focused towards building muscle. Don't care if you're a 70-year-old lady watching this. I'll be surprised if there is a 70-year-old lady watching this, or a 20-year-old lad. Your priority, if you're short on time, should be building muscle. Now, the reason for that is, number one, muscle is fantastic for longevity and reducing the risk of things in old age like osteoporosis. But number two, it gives you fantastic confidence in the way that you look. For example, lads, if you have bigger arms or a bigger chest, bigger shoulders, you might feel better about yourself in that t-shirt. Or for ladies, if you have bigger glutes or toned shoulders, you might feel a bit better around the pool or with your friends on a night out. But another one of the reasons why muscle is so important is that if you have more muscle in comparison to body fat, then it becomes easier to burn fat. To sustain muscle, it takes more calories for the body. For example, if you took two men at the exact same height, the exact same weight, however, one had more muscle than the other, one had more body fat than the other, then the person that has the more muscle would burn more calories than the person that has the body fat at rest. What this means is that it's going to be easier for the person with the muscle to stay in better shape for longer, because they're going to find it easier to burn calories. So what are you going to do for 3 days in a week? Well, there's another video, I'll link it below this, where I'm going to teach you exactly how to set up your training. There's also a free training program on that video, so you can go and watch that. Essentially, your training sessions don't need to be longer than 30-40 minutes if you don't want them to be, to get fantastic results, not just in fat loss, but also to look after your longevity, look after your health, and get some really good results in terms of an actual physical transformation. So go check out that video, whether it's now or you bookmark it for later. So that's it, 5 simple tips that I learned on my own journey from losing 5 stone of body fat and completely transforming myself from fat to fit. And here's the thing, you're probably thinking those are boring tips and not necessarily hacks. That's right. These things are boring, they're not very sexy or marketable, but if you do them and you consistently do them, you will get the results that you want to see. So don't forget to hit the links below this video. There is a link to go get the calorie calculator, which is going to break down how to manipulate your calories for the week that you have coming up. And then there is a link to go watch the next video, which is going to give you a 3-day training program.